Hi guys, I got a question today from a customer. They wanted to know if the infinite angle offset front stabilizer mount with quick disconnect could be bridged together and mounted to the RPG stabilizer adapter. So the RPG adapter, if you've never seen it, allows you to use a bridge lock style stabilizer on the front of your bow, even if your bow can't accept a bridge lock bar into the riser. So you have the adapter. They wanted to know, could we bring these two products together and make that work? And thought about it for a second and realized, yes, it could work. It would require a little bit of change as far as the components we use and some of the fasteners, but it does work. So I tested it out tonight and I'm going to show you how to mount this up. It's not on the website. If you wanted it, you'd have to reach out in terms of a custom order for the time being. We'll see if anyone wants this and talks about it. So the infinite angle as the standard product we offer includes the riser bracket module with the reverse thread in here. That's the left to tighten, right to loosen thread. And then it also has the quick disconnect module. So we don't need the QD module for what we're doing tonight. Instead, we need the middle module. And that is part of the back stabilizer mount. The middle module has right hand thread, 5/16/24 in it. And of course it is, as you can see here, it's a female thread. So we can then connect these two parts to each other. So if you've never seen the bridge lock adapter, the way this works is it mounts directly up to the bow, riser with a socket cap screw, and it lets you attach the stabilizer. We have a little knob here that locks down on the bar, lets you pop it out. So it has its own quick disconnect capability. But bringing these two things together would then give you the offset capacity of the mount, and then also the infinite adjustability of the angle. So the upward or downward angle is really completely up to you as far as where you want to customize that to. So let's go about putting it on here. To start with, the riser bracket, just like I talked about in the infinite angle video. You really do want that to be perpendicular to the riser. So first things you will do, it will be to get this tight as it can be to start. Make sure it's leveled up. If it moves a little as you're tightening, you want to take that into account. You will want to get this to that 145, 150 inch-pound that I constantly talk about, because you are going to leave it set at that point. It is not going to change. So get that locked down like I already have. The next thing then is to get the middle module here, and you'll have the left-hand thread screw that you're going to use. So we'll be turning it to the left to get it to tighten. And I'll swing the bow around here so you can see better. So I've got that threaded in. You see it's tight, almost tight. Loosen up a little more by turning it to the right. So there we got it totally loose. And at this point, then you could actually move on to bringing the adapter up to the module. So I would say you may actually want to just give this a little bit of tightness. You'll see why. So give it a little bit of tightness, enough to hold it in place. Then you'll take the adapter, which has its own screw. This is a socket cap, steel socket cap screw, a 3/4 inch thread length. We do need 3/4 because this only has enough depth to be able to use that length of screw. So you'll drop that down inside the adapter. It's a 1/4 inch drive. So we're going to start out with a T-handle wrench here to get that mated up there to the middle module. So now this part, you must pay close attention to what I'm going to explain. A couple things are important here. One, the location of the threaded hole on the top. You may not be able to see that fully in the video, I'm not sure, but it's right here. So you're going to want to make sure that is located in an accessible location for you to be able to rotate down onto that. So if it's on the bottom, you could have it on the bottom if you wanted to. I'll show you here. You're just going to loosen, of course, and then rotate that down to the bottom. You could do that, and that would bring your knob to the left lower portion of the module. I would rather, for my own purposes, have it be on the top. So the top right here. Another thing to consider is the orientation of this hole. This is designed to accept a bridge lock bar. Now, of course, the bridge lock bar should be mounted in a fashion that, again, you're taking into account the design of the bar. This is not a round bar, so it doesn't, it's not acceptable to just have it stop at any spot, right? Well, you could angle to any location with this by turning it. I would, again, want this to be nicely squared up. So you're going to take that into account too. Look at the hole, see if it's squared, and then decide where you want to stop. I have it at what I consider to be a pretty good spot here. Rotate the bow again so you can see a little better. You may not be able to really pick that up, but let's look at it. Yeah, it's really pretty good where it's at. So reach inside with that 1/4 inch, tighten that down to some degree. Now this step is important in terms of the amount of torque that you're going to use here. I would suggest you don't go to 145. You really don't need to. Couple things. If you're going to be pressing down in this direction, this is the right thread screw, down that much with sufficient leverage, you're really going to be applying a lot of stress to this particular joint. And you might exceed what that's capable of resisting and start to bend that and bring that down. We don't want to bring that from its position where it is. It's really nice and secure. It's perpendicular. So I would suggest you go with lower amounts. You don't need to have 145 for this. I would say you do about 120. So I'll set this one up. Let's check it. We're at 120 on the torque wrench here. It's making sure it's turning in the correct direction. And we'll grab the 1/4 inch hex bit right here. We got the 1/4 inch bit. And then we'll go ahead and tighten this down to that spec. There we go. And did it move? No, it's still really squared up nicely. So I'm ready to actually put this bar in now at this point. So here's the knob. This is a titanium alloy knob with a cup point screw. Key point here about the cup point is that it's designed, it's selected for this purpose. It's designed to bite down into the bar. So that round surface that it has, it will score and make that roundish kind of mark on the bar in certain spots. That's what we want it to do. That's how you're going to really grip this bar and keep it in place nicely. While you're shooting and it's not going to come loose. You have to accept that. That's what it will do. It doesn't really damage the bar much at all, but that's how this is designed to function. If you wanted to change this out to say like a nylon point or something along those lines, probably could get it tight enough, maybe, but I wouldn't feel confident with just a thumb screw and a nylon point. A thumb screw and a cup point, yeah, definitely confident that we can get that to bite and be tight enough. If you're going to run a nylon screw, a nylon tip screw on something like this, you'd be better off actually getting rid of the knob and maybe just tightening it down with a hex key or with a T-handle wrench or something along those lines, because it just isn't going to have the same grab. So let's put the knob on with the cup point, and I think it's important to note that you want the bar to be all the way in up against the head of the socket cap screw. You could have it extend down a little bit, but this adapter is designed to have that bar be all the way in. We want maximum contact with the bar. Let me bring this over here, and with the adapter. So the further in there you get it, the more the bar is going to touch parts of the adapter. And that's what we want. So you can screw that down with your hand, just like that. Now that bar got really tight, very, very tight inside of there. At that point, honestly, I think you would be good to shoot and not have any concern about that bar becoming loose. This, however, is not all the way tight yet. So let's move to that. And see there, I turned it to the right. Now it's loose. So here's where you can start to think about angles. What do you want to do? If we are going to if you're going to use this, you're probably going to have some degree of downward angle, and that's what I would expect people to do. So just like with the inside, the socket cap screw here, I recommended 120 on that. I would also recommend less right now anyway. So while you're tuning and shooting here and making experimental adjustments, you might want to have this be at under 145 inch-pounds, because that's tight. That's quite tight. And you will need to have sufficient leverage to loosen. So I would say go for maybe around the 100, or what you feel that is, while you're doing your initial shooting and making adjustment. Once you're confident that it's at the place you want it to be, then go ahead and bring it into that full torque spec and hit the 145 or so. But for now, you wouldn't necessarily go that high. So again, now these are T30, so Torx 30-bit is what I would use for something like this. These are a hardened bit. They're really good. They don't strip out. So you can find these on Amazon already installed inside the socket. And so I have a 1/4 inch drive socket here. And yeah, I would just go with what feels reasonable. I'm not even going to measure it. Loosen it up, move it back to where you think it'll need to be. So yeah, I had it maybe a little more angled than I wanted. I would say, let's say we'll go right about here with it. That's good. Yeah, so go ahead and just tighten that down to where you think it feels pretty reasonable. That's probably, yeah, I mean, I'm going to say in the range of 110, maybe a little bit higher even. So that would be good to go. Okay, at this point, we are ready to shoot. Got a little bit of an angle, got the offset aspect, and you're running a bridge lock bar on the front of this bow. Quick disconnect feature, pop that bar right out, pop that bar back in, tighten it down, set. So it works, no doubt. Is it something you would want? Hey, I don't really know. This one particular person that reached out thinks they would want it, and maybe you would too. Taparchery.com. If you have any questions, you reach out to me Monday through Friday, typically 8 a.m. to about 4 p.m. Eastern. Text me. That's the best way to get a hold of me. 717-814-9169. Thanks a lot, guys.